Hello and welcome to Writer Rant, author advice in 5 minutes or less because I have to get back to writing and so do you. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about the necessity of certain details. So this kind of ties into the Writer Rant I had a couple weeks ago about the why. So for the why it's like, okay, here's the reason why this portion of prose exists. Is it character development? Is it creating the setting? Is it plot? Whatever it is, you kind of have to ask yourself, it's like, what is the purpose of this section, of this paragraph? And if it has purpose, then great. It should belong in the text. And so what I'm finding a lot in the stuff I've been reading recently is, there's so much that just goes on in a book that it's like, that's really not necessary. It's redundant, it's repetitive. It gets annoying for the reader. It's just like, I already know this. Give the reader some credit. So it's a matter of, hey, you can mention something once. If it's really important, then yeah, it'll come into play in the plot or in the character development. But if not, if you have to keep reminding your reader about it, is it really necessary? A lot of this is kind of an exposition. You have exposition dumps at the beginning of the book, and it's like, as a reader, I gotta just drag through all of this, because it's like, how much of this is necessary? Like, do we need to know the details, the excruciating details of everything? Now, I get it. You've spent a lot of time as a writer to develop this world. There's a lot of world building that goes on, and you want to use every single bit of it to just really create and paint this huge, enormous, detailed picture of the world that you've created. But again, it kind of distracts from the actual story itself, which, if it's distracting from the characters or the story, is it necessary? It really comes down to kind of the show don't tell kind of thing. So if it's a detail that, okay, maybe I need to explain this a little bit better, it's like, there are other ways of doing it than just like straight up telling the reader about it. Just, you can use little subtle hints. You can, oh, hey, the character found this book and they reacted this way. It's like, oh, well, because this book had this backstory or whatever. That's kind of the way to do it, instead of saying, oh, hey, we go into a library and here's all these books, and this book, has got this binding on it, and, it's just like, we don't need those details as readers. It's, again, give the reader some credit that they actually can remember stuff. Obviously, it kind of depends on your audience. If your audience is kind of younger, yeah, you might have to be repetitive. But for anything that, if you have sex or swearing or violence in it, it's probably for adults, and adults should be able to remember stuff. So it's like, let's cut out the fluff. Let's just keep to the focused parts of the story and the characters, and just every time, especially when you're going through and you're revising, ask yourself, is this necessary? I had to do this with my own work recently, because I had to cut out a whole bunch of sections in my memoir about climbing mountains with my dad, because I realized, what? This is like a flashback. This is exposition dump. This is all stuff that's like, hey, it's nice that people would get to know me as a character, but it's not really necessary. It distracts from the main story. So I know it's hard to cut stuff sometimes, but if you just use that simple question, is it necessary, your story is going to be a lot tighter, and it's going to read a lot faster. So, what do you think? Is there anything that is necessary in your writing or unnecessary? And what about you readers out there? Is there anything else that really annoys you? Drop a comment below, and maybe I'll get to it in a future episode. So thanks for watching this week's Writer Rant. I'm Benjamin M. Weilert.